Hello everyone, and this is Gary Maloney for your Fastlane predictions on this Saturday evening for Sacktown Slam. I'm gonna make this super easy because so many of these matchups seemed like they were tossed in there last minute. WWE is, especially with SmackDown Live, on complete cruise control. I don't think they care, nor do they want to care about what kind of product they're putting out before WrestleMania. Now, for those that do not know yet, and I haven't really had a chance to talk about this, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit right now. This is the last brand-specific pay-per-view of the year, because as of WrestleMania, everything's going to be co-branded. What that means is there will be no more SmackDown or Raw-specific pay-per-views. There will only be one pay-per-view a month. Now, is that going to be a little bit less of a headache to follow? Yes. Is this going to mean a lot less content on the network? Also, yes. And it will lead to less reasons to watch the network. So, they're going to need to start dishing out more, otherwise people aren't going to think it's worth it. The other problem with this is that if let's just say every pay-per-view is a quote-unquote Night of Champions, whether they're defending or retaining or whatever. Where does the mid-card fit into all this? Where's my Sami Zayn and my freaking Ty Dillingers going to be at? Where are my Dolph Zigglers? Where are my Dean Ambroses and Seth Rollins? Where's Big Cass and Jeff and Matt Hardy? Where are they all going to fit at? Because no one can seem to give me an answer. No one. It doesn't take someone with ESP to figure out that they are going to ditch the brand split. I have no actual proof of this, but this is a very big indicator right here. Why they would do this? I don't know. It's been said that ticket sales have been relatively bad for pay-per-view events. And oh, I don't get no money. Well, then maybe don't put out shit product, And this Fastlane card is definitely a great example of why your pay-per-view revenues are shit. So, without further ado, let me give you my opinions on Fastlane, what's going to happen therein. So, we have our first match, which, of course, is not exactly one to write home about, but whatever. Nakamura versus, of course, Rusev Day, or Rusev, but still, it felt rushed. It really did. Because for a while, we didn't even know what Nakamura was going to do. And then a week ago, they just tossed this match together. I really feel like, okay, this could have used a little bit more build. And Nakamura versus Rusev could have been a huge thing going into WrestleMania. If you'd have put some stakes on it, like I take Nakamura's spot, then it could have been a really huge thing. But instead, you just arbitrarily basically throw Rusev to the wolves because he's getting over on his own. And we all know how WWE don't like that. Just ask Damian fucking Sandow. You know, it's ridiculous. Or Zack Ryder. Anyone who has gotten over on their own has basically been thrown to the wolves. And that is what I see this as. Obviously, this is a momentum builder. In as far as realistically, the only reason WWE would do this would be to build momentum for Nakamura. I think anything other than Nakamura winning here would be a shock. So even if Aiden English makes it via DQ, excuse me, I am a little exhausted, but yeah, this is not going to go Rusev's way at all, which again, it would have made more sense if this had been Cena, and Cena were fighting Nakamura for a shot at AJ at WrestleMania instead of Nakamura. And then have it so Cena loses, because we all know Cena's facing Undertaker. I mean, that's been spilled by Ryan Satin, Dave Meltzer. It doesn't matter who you ask, that's the plan. So the fact of the matter is that a match here versus Cena, and maybe throwing Rusev into that quote-unquote six-man title match, probably would have been a better idea, because a win over Cena would definitely push Nakamura into being in the ire of Vince's eye. A win over Rusev really doesn't mean shit, especially when you're trying to bury Rusev. Rusev has no sway in this company. He hasn't had a belt since he had the U.S. taken from him from Roman. What can I say? But again, this is already setting up to be a huge disaster. Then you have Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Carmella and Natalya. Gap filler match. Period. Doesn't matter who wins, because no one out of this match is really winning anything. Again, gap filler match would have made way more sense if this had been the Riot Squad. Again, if you'd have thrown the Riot Squad in there and made this a 6-woman, 2-on-2-on-2, would have made way more sense. This is called gap filler. So, if I'm going to guess, and it is true that Carmella is supposedly cashing in at WrestleMania, it's probably going to be Carmella and Natalya. If that is not true, then I would go Becky and Naomi. But my guess here is Carmella and Natalya. I'm going to take them to win. So then you have Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton. Probably the most interesting match of this whole night, because it's the only one I really can't put my finger on as to who's going to win. Now, here's the thing. You have an outside source in Jinder, which could fuck up this whole match and cause it to be a triple threat at WrestleMania. That is a possibility. But you could have... this could all be a bump in the road also for Bobby Roode. And then Bobby Roode moves on to another opponent at WrestleMania. My hunch here, though, Orton wins the belt and your rematch is at WrestleMania. And these two have a WrestleMania match that you will not soon forget. I think the company is soured on Jinder. I think the company is done thinking that, oh my god, if we push a fucking Punjabi guy, that we'll get more ratings and more subscriptions through India. It didn't work. Didn't work. Didn't work. Didn't work at the Backlash last year in May. Didn't work last May. Sure the hell isn't going to work now. So, if I had it my way, it would just be one-on-one. My guess here, though, is that the modern-day failure Raja is going to get involved here, and we're going to see this turn into a triple threat. So I think it's going to be DQ no matter what. And more than likely, it'll be Jinder Mahal and Thing 1 and 2, you know, beating up those two, and then they both get a Colossus, and that'll be the end of it. So, my gut is really telling me that, because they've been adding Jinder into the storyline now for the last few weeks. And if they didn't do something with Jinder here, it would, in my opinion, it would, devalue Jinder very, very much so. Which, when you're getting devalued before WrestleMania time, that's not a good sign. 2, I think that in Orton, if the belt's gonna change hands, it's going to go to Orton. And more likely it's going to stay on Orton after WrestleMania. If the belt does not change hands, that makes things a little bit more interesting as to who is he going to face. So, my guess here is Orton wins, or Orton wins via DQ, but I think Orton will win. Whether he gets the belt is really up to whether WWE wants to push Jinder. New Day versus Usos. There's what I want and what I think is going to happen. What I want is Usos to win and for them to make some kind of sense of this whole Bludgeon Brothers thing. Because they've been having the Bludgeon Brothers walk out on the Usos, 2, maybe 3 times now in the last 4 weeks or so? It would make 0 sense for them to give the belts to the New Day right now. New Day are kind of in a funk, and I'm not digging this whole pancake thing. It's just like, stick with the cereal. And B, just all the goofy shenanigans with the pancakes, you know, it's time to, much like you did with the ice cream, time to find a new gimmick at this point. I think you've been doing the pancake thing since, like, November. So, let's find a new gimmick for the New Day. I mean, I'm not trying to be a hater on these guys, because they are very talented, but all things considered, New Day's had so many title reigns and held the belts for very, very long. So have the Usos. Who is ready to step up? That is my question. Because if these are the only tag teams that SmackDown Creative's going to push, then this match will be an epic failure. Because A, we need a 3rd or 4th tag team to step up here. Obviously, they don't feel comfortable yet with Gable and Benjamin, but I do see those two being a good team. They obviously don't aren't feeling it with Fandango. Again, another great team in the ring. I feel like you've got good tag teams on SmackDown, you're not pushing them. My guess for this match is the Usos, considering the way that they're going, you know, that the Bludgeon Brothers have been dropping promos. If the Usos lose, then I guess you could still add in the Bludgeon Brothers, as they are undefeated and have them fight both teams at WrestleMania, much to the way they did last WrestleMania with the triple threat that turned, fatal four-way tag team with the Hardys. Obviously, I don't expect that kind of a pop this year from WrestleMania, but what I do expect, at least from this match, is the Usos. I think if they don't win, again, this could be a pay-per-view full of DQs, and this may be yet another one because the Bludgeon Brothers come in and decide to throw their weight around. But I think it's going to be Usos either way. I don't think New Day walks out with those titles. Charlotte versus Ruby Riott. Short story, Ruby Riott loses. She's too green. She's not winning that belt off of Charlotte, especially before Asuka chooses her opponent. My guess, and why Asuka hasn't chosen an opponent yet, is more than likely because Charlotte is that opponent. I think that Alexa Bliss, as much as Alexa Bliss thinks she's all that, and who knows? Who knows what the future holds? As I said, the pay-per-views are getting mashed together. That may very well mean that there may not be 2 tag team titles or 2 women's titles anymore. They may go ahead and just combine the women's and tag team divisions from both shows. Do I think it would be better that way? Possibly. If you had the tag teams from show A and the tag teams from show B fight it out to see who was going to get the last spot for a shot at the titles, then fine. Same with the women. If you're going to do it that way, fine. But I feel like, again, this combined pay-per-view thing is going to be a disaster. And just you wait till May, folks. It ain't going to be all roses and sunshine. And the best thing WWE's going to have pay-per-view wise is Takeover. Period. Last match. AJ versus Cena versus Corbin versus Ziggler versus Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. 6-pack challenge. Alright, I'm going to put this into perspective for you. Sami Zayn and Kevin are not winning this title. And with Kevin Owens is going to face Shinsuke Nakamura. For Sami Zayn, since when has Sami Zayn ever held a damn belt? It's come to the point where I don't even think that they even intend on giving Sami a belt at this point. Or even in the near future. It's a pointless endeavor. Just don't bother. Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler literally said on someone else's podcast that when he gave up the U.S. title belt, he didn't even want to come back for like 6 months until after WrestleMania because he knew they weren't going to do anything with him at WrestleMania. So he comes back after a month because the company asked him to, and what does he get in return? 0. He comes back at the Royal Rumble at number 30 and gets dumped right out about as fast as he came in, and then gets stuck in this match basically to lose it. First of all, I think after WrestleMania, because it's clear that Dolph is not going to be there, one, they need to define Dolph Ziggler as a character, if he's even going to stay with the company. You need to define him as a character. Is he a heel or is he a face? The next thing you need to do is define a clear objective. If he's going to be a main card, main talent guy that's not putting people over, then you need to make sure that that's your intention. I mean, obviously, if you're just going to bury the son of a bitch, he's just going to quit. And this is a perfect example of a burial for many people. Why this is even a match, I don't understand. And why you needed to bury so many people, again, makes no sense. Then we go on to Baron Corbin, who has probably had the shittiest year in the last 12 months. I mean, he wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I think, 2 years ago. Then, you know, he won Money in the Bank, which we all know how that turned out. Especially after you open your mouth, you're going to end up having it closed for you, whether it's from an internet smart or the company. They are going to force your hand, and that's why he lost his Money in the Bank briefcase, because he got a little mouthy backstage, and he got a little mouthy with Dave Meltzer, and they don't like bad public press. So there you go. John Cena. Everyone knows Cena's facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania. At this point, that's not even a secret. Okay, we've known this for, 3 months now? So, you stock him in a match in order to lose so he can call out The Undertaker? And probably lose? I mean, if I'm John Cena, and, you know, I'm thinking two things right here. Number one, why am I losing 2 matches in a row, especially one at WrestleMania? Number two, why bother with this match? I'm trying to find a way to WrestleMania, right? Well, why not, as I said a few moments ago, fight Nakamura for his Royal Rumble spot? We've seen that with Money in the Bank briefcases. So why not put your Royal Rumble spot on the line? That match, probably, the reason they probably didn't do that match is it would have headlined the damn pay-per-view and would have been better than what they were going to give for this quote-unquote Fatal 5-Way now turned 6-pack challenge. Damn, this pay-per-view is so easy. I mean, I don't even need ESPN to figure out what's going to happen here. Obviously, they're not going to jeopardize Nakamura versus AJ. So AJ wins. AJ is winning this. Even if he doesn't win it, I don't care if it is Cena that wins. He's going to challenge him on Tuesday night and get the damn title back. So they might throw a swerve. Hell, they might give Dolph Ziggler a 24-hour or a 48-hour title reign and then have to cough it up again. But at least Dolph would have had a fucking title reign. I'd rather them do it that way than fucking giving the damn match to Cena. I mean, if Cena wants it, he's going to get it. But let's just hope that Cena's not in for burying the rest of these talent. Like I said, Sammy and Kevin, you know, they've had shot after shot after shot. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's stupid at this point. Their whole thing has to do with, you know, Shane and Daniel Bryan. And as much as, you know, as much as I hate to say this, the rumor is that at WrestleMania, Shane McMahon's going to face Dolph Ziggler? How the fuck does that have anything to do with Daniel Bryan? So you're telling me that WWE doctors are going to be dicks? When every other doctor has said, yes, he can wrestle. And yeah, I know, there are guys out there that are going to be like, yeah, well, maybe they're just looking out for his best interests. No, they're not looking out for his best interests. His best interests are about feeding his family. You got to make the money, honey. And WrestleMania is where you make the money. I mean, if you did a tag team match where he and Shane took on Kevin and Sami, you could lower the amount of bumps he has to take, because God knows that Shane can take a bump off of a 37-foot cage. Jeez. But the fact remains that this is... it just is disappointing overall, what's this being the last SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view. It's very, very disappointing. I feel like SmackDown is getting shafted back down to the end of the card. They are basically being forced to be made to all look like mid-carders, which, when you look at guys like AJ and Bobby, and Cena's a free agent, so he can go where the fuck he wants. But, you know, Baron Corbin is, in my opinion, not mid-card material. Sami Zayn can be whatever the fuck he wants after fighting Nakamura. Speaking of Nakamura, you know, another guy that I really hope at WrestleMania wins the WWE title. If he does not win the WWE title against AJ Styles at WrestleMania and get his WrestleMania moment, then if I'm Nakamura, I say fuck WWE. I'm going back to New Japan. Fuck that. So, unfortunately, you know, so that's about it on that end. So, apparently, now I want to get to a little bit of news before I go here, because there's some stories I'd like to talk about. So, according to Bodyslam.net, and Brad Shepard was the one who reported this, that there has been internal talk about who Dolph Ziggler should face at WrestleMania. And the name that has come up, and the name that has come up is reportedly Shane McMahon. Dolph had recently talked to AJ about never having a singles match at WrestleMania, and Shane may be coming along to be his first. Why? That is my question. Why? Now, my hope is that this is heel Ziggler saying, what the fuck, where's my opportunity? I want an opportunity. It's supposed to be the land of opportunity. If I beat you, then I face the guy who wins at WrestleMania for the WWE title next month. Now, Brad Shepard had also shed some light as to what Carmella may be up to, reporting her cash-in at WrestleMania, and that she's been considering it. The rumored SmackDown Women's Championship match for WrestleMania is Charlotte versus Asuka. And Carmella is reportedly okay with that because she knows that she may not be a champion with Asuka holding the title. So we apparently heard, from what I heard, she's okay with it. She's down to do it. She basically knows Asuka is going to be champion, and she doesn't have a chance of winning the title from her. So it's like, you might as well make the most of losing. Why not WrestleMania? I find it stupid. Because, A, it's your first women's WrestleMania. So... And, you know, this is just... It's dumb. Because, A, the only thing you're really doing is you're copycatting the whole heist of the century thing that Rollins did at WrestleMania 31. And as much as I hate to say this, why is it that every time a guy does something, a woman has to do it? And I don't want to be sexist, but it's like they had to have a Royal Rumble. Fine. I'm okay with that. Elimination Chamber is fucking pushing it. But fine. You want to pussify the chamber now and add padding? Fine. Now, we're going to start copying storylines? Why? Why? So just to have her lose? To have the first ever women's Money in the Bank winner lose? Could you imagine if that had happened to Jericho and he had lost? Or if that had happened to Edge and he had lost? Or Daniel Bryan and he had lost? You know, we've seen what happens to people that lose their Money in the Bank cash-ins. That's not fame. You go down, and you go down hard. Look at what happened to Baron Corbin. Look at what happened to Damian Sandow. Like, Baron Corbin still hasn't worked his way back up the ranks. So, it is very, very hard to work your way back up when you have been held down. And Carmella's definitely been held down for a lot of different reasons. I mean, the first one being that she was associated with Enzo and Big Cass when she first showed up on the roster. Then the next one, the biggest problem for her was establishing her style. Then the last one was getting rid of Ellsworth, because I'll be honest with you, James Ellsworth was a plague to fucking wrestling. I don't care if you know how to wrestle. If you don't look the part, you're not going to be a part of it. You have to look the part. You can't be on a goddamn dog leash, being chained to the ring while a woman beats up somebody, If you're looking for a dominatrix, there are plenty online. Trust me on that one. So, getting back to the point, Carmella should not be having to waste her Money in the Bank cash in on a loss. Just personal opinion on that one. Then you have some more things that have come up, and that Kurt Angle claims that Jason Jordan will be back in the next 6 to 8 weeks, so he's due back in 6 to 8 weeks. Honestly, it's very... I'm not a huge Jason Jordan fan. And it's not that they totally botched... It's not the fact that they just totally botched that angle with, oh my god, you're my son, bull crap. But they've devalued Jason Jordan so much that I don't even think anyone remembers that him and Seth Rollins even tagged together. As soon as he left, it felt like things were running a lot more smoothly. So I think Jason Jordan needs a new gimmick. And I think Jason Jordan just needs new life. I think he should stay away for the next 6 to 8 months, personally. But so let's see. Well, I'm looking for news here, and this is the one. Now, WWE's Facebook accidentally leaked NXT New Orleans matches. Now, how legit this is? I mean, it was someone who had access to WWE's Facebook account accidentally spoiled the full card for Takeover New Orleans. The post was removed shortly thereafter, but fans picked up on it. So the only match that has yet to be confirmed that was listed was Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa, which anybody that's been following NXT knows that shit's going down. I think that Regal, per storyline, will probably give him one more match against Tommaso Ciampa, and then they'll move up to either 205 or SmackDown, because they're not Raw guys. They're not ready for that level of competition. But so these are the matches they're talking about. Gargano versus Ciampa. That should be a great match. That is and has been a storyline that has been told for over a year. A year. This has been told. You want to talk about long-term booking and great storytelling, it don't get no better than this one. DIY getting the titles, DIY losing the titles, DIY getting a second chance at titles, losing them and breaking up. Gargano, lose. Then the next chapter is win, and then you lose the NXT title, and then you lose it again because Tommaso Ciampa, interfered, basically. He stuck you with a crutch in the back. Do I think this would have happened if McIntyre had, or gone down this way if McIntyre was still around? No. Absolutely not. So I don't know. Obviously, McIntyre didn't get injured until SummerSlam weekend. So I think the betrayal was something that they had in mind. But after, what happened to his McIntyre's shoulder, I think they had to kind of throw a swerve or two in there to make it happen. But they got there. They got to that last chapter. The NXT Championship match is going to be Andrade Cien Almas versus Aleister Black. I think we all saw that coming. This last week, we saw Aleister Black beat Killian Dane for #1 contendership. That's pretty much written in stone. Then there's the women's match. It's going to be Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler. I don't know who wins. I honestly don't. Because it depends. Because in my mind, those whom they've picked up from the Mae Young Classic, they are not ready. Billie Kay and Peyton Royce are moving up, after WrestleMania. So that's 2 that are gone. Nobody knows what's going to happen to Sanity after WrestleMania. So, Nikki Cross could be gone. In my opinion, Ember Moon may have to stay there a little while longer and let people like Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane, and just a lot of and Sonya Deville, and just a lot of these other beginners. Basically, I'm so sad they never did get Toni Storm, which would have been a big one for WWE because she clearly could wrestle. But you do have Bianca Belair, who again green, but she's getting there. I mean, they have a lot of green talent right now for their women's division that they need to build up over the next 2 years. I think giving up Ember Moon at this stage would be a huge mistake. So I would say Ember Moon wins, just based on that alone. Granted, these are early predictions. I haven't seen the NXT tapings or anything that's going to happen. I'm sure there could be things that would change these predictions, but nothing like having a little fun. The NXT Tag Team Championship for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic winners. So it's a tag team championship between Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne, who are going to be a tag team. That would be a hell of a fucking tag team. What does this tell me? It also says that Roderick Strong's probably not winning the, unfortunately, probably not going to win that Cruiserweight title. But we'll see, because that does technically take place at WrestleMania. Takeover would be before. So you never know. He could win the tag team titles for NXT and the Cruiserweight. And that would be a huge coup for Roderick Strong. Anyway, their opponents are AOP and Undisputed Era, of course, being the champs. Boy. I don't see AOP winning because they're going to get called up. That's definitely going to be the case here. I honestly believe it's going to be Undisputed. I don't think they're going to rob Undisputed of a moment here. I think that they are probably going to win. I think that if anyone else does win, it'll be Roddy and Dunn, which, that's kind of a good cop, bad cop scenario, but it could be an interesting tag team. So, and then we asked for it, and it appears that we are getting it at New Orleans. They are bringing in a mid-card title for NXT. The NXT North American Championship. It is going to be a ladder match with EC3 versus Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan versus Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet. Fuck if I know who's winning that one. Because I could make a case for every single person in that match. Do I think EC3 and Ricochet should be winning a title in their first match in WWE? Fuck no. I mean, realistically, if they were to give them that title, that's sticking a rocket up somebody's ass right off the bat. So realistically, if I were to use my ESPN, I'm going to go with Lars Sullivan or Adam Cole. I think those are your two to bet on here. Killian Dane, I think, isn't going to be holding on to anything NXT. He's been there a very long time. I think they're putting him in these high-pressure stakes matches in order to essentially, get him ready for bigger and better things. but I don't think NXT is where he's going to get them. I think that he's one of the bigums. He's going to go to... he would be better packaged along with the rest of Sanity in the WWE. Whether they send Sanity to Raw or to SmackDown, I have no idea. But my hope is that WWE is not stupid and decides to split them apart, which would make zero sense. It'd be like splitting apart the Wyatts and the Shield before you called them up. So, if we take EC3, Killian Dane, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet out of that. I mean, Velveteen Dream, though, it's a possibility. Patrick Clark is an incredibly fucking talented person. And we've seen... And one of the things he was really talking about in one of his promos, that he wanted to prove that he was better than all this indie talent that wants to just walk in and, do this and that when he started from square one at the Performance Center. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's in the ring with 1, 2, 3, at least 4 other pieces of indie talent. I'm not sure if Lars Sullivan is a, Performance Center guy or not. But, yeah, what a place that would be to make a statement for Velveteen Dream. My money's still on Lars and Adam Cole. But if you're going to push Velveteen Dream, this is where it happens. I'm shocked that they didn't put Cassius Ohno in here, because this would be a great place for him to be. I think he would have maybe been a better candidate than EC3 or Ricochet, as they haven't wrestled any matches. Hell, I'd have left EC3 versus Ricochet as a match on there, and then put 2 more established names in there. I don't know. Maybe Tyler Bate. Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of names in NXT that would fit that bill. Eric Young, but then where's Killian Dane? I'm shocked Eric Young hasn't gotten more than just tag team title matches. It's kind of ridiculous. No Way Jose, another one that I feel like they've just sort of given up on. But nonetheless, it is very, very difficult. And forgive me for itching my nose, but we are in allergy season, folks. So for me, living out here in California, it's like, what am I going to do? What are you going to do? So it's a lot. And if this is a for real, list of matches, again, I'm more excited for what's going to happen in New Orleans than I am with Takeover than I am for WrestleMania. Do you know for WrestleMania currently right now there's only one match I even give a shit about, and that's AJ versus Nakamura. No one gives a shit about Roman Reigns versus Brock. And for all of you haters out there, by the way, that want to sit there and send me messages about how Brock is the greatest and Brock isn't responsible, it's the bookers, and Well, first of all, let me explain something to you. Brock makes $12 million a year. That's more than Vince. Just between you and me. You want to know who leveraged that deal? Brock. Do you know why Brock didn't have to defend any of his titles? Or any of his title for more than 3 times over the last 12 months? Because Brock leveraged that deal and how many appearances he has to make. You see, I had someone earlier today trying to throw shade my way, saying, well, you can talk all the crap you want about Brock, but, Kichika Okada from New Japan Pro Wrestling has had only defended the belt 10 times in 610 days. Got news for you, buddy. 10 times in 610 days is still once every 61 days. That's once every 2 months. Brock still doesn't have that kind of fucking average. He has wrestled, I think, 8 or 9 times in the last 2 years. 7 of those were title defenses. In 2 years, if you've had 10 title defenses, that's still more than Brock. Not to mention, Okada wrestles other matches. See, Brock doesn't wrestle other matches unless it's a title match. That's the difference between a guy like Okada, maybe not defending his belt every single, moment of the day, versus Brock, who doesn't fight and would rather shoot helpless animals in Minnesota. So, I'll be honest with you. This is not at all, one is very, very different than the other. So anyone, trying to compare Okada's title reign to Brock's is no. Okay, you're stupid, number one, because, there's one guy who fights every night, gives everything he has every night, and then there's another guy who has diverticulitis, wrestles lazy matches, and we're lucky to get 5 minutes out of him in the ring. That's the difference between Okada and Brock. Okada wrestles. Brock is a lazy bitch who wants money. Because, in my mind, Okada should be the one getting the $12 million. Why? Not because he was UFC champion and king of the Octagon and the 21-1 and No. Because Okada is for real. Okada could kick Brock Lesnar's sorry ass. And I would put money on that. Hell, Shinsuke almost kicked his sorry ass, and that was in New Japan. And the only reason Brock got to win is because Brock leveraged his deal with New Japan as well after leaving WWE. You see, Brock has always been seen as an attraction. You see, to me, he's seen as, get the fuck off my television, what the fuck else is on? Because he's not for real. He's holding wrestlers back at his age by demanding to be champion. He should have put over freaking Braun Strowman on several occasions. And in my book, the only thing he has done right since coming back is putting over Seth Rollins at 31. That's it. And then he demanded to come back and squash him. So, given everything that happened, or has happened with Brock, why do I care what anyone thinks at this point? Because I know bullshitters when I see one. Trust me, I do. And Brock is a bullshitter. Brock wants to make people think he's tough. But I saw freaking Samoa Joe at Great Balls of Fire squishing his head and making him look like a fucking grape because his diverticulitis, and him squeezing the air out of him. People want to sit there and tell me that Samoa Joe wouldn't survive a fight with Braun Strowman or Brock Lesnar. My ass. I don't care how much fucking fighting skill you have. If you've got no endurance and no cardio like Brock, again, 5 minutes. If you can survive more than 5 minutes, you're going to beat Brock Lesnar. So, why WWE continues to make a shit show of these supposedly large main events with Brock is stupid. Brock needs to fucking give up the title He needs to go back down the card, like a few steps, and fight some other competition. Earn it. Brock hasn't earned it. Brock is a bitch. Brock bitches about many, many, many things, and yet gets everything. And yet, if I'm, Zack Ryder trying to pull the same thing, the company's going to tell me, go fuck yourself. Or if I'm Dolph Ziggler and has been there for basically the same amount of time, I haven't had a Universal title, I haven't had a WWE title, I haven't had any of this or any of that. I've had one World Championship run and one Money in the Bank. That's it. So, to everyone trying to leverage Brock Lesnar's position, to me, you can stop trying now. Because you're not going to win that one. There are so many reasons why people hate Brock Lesnar and just want him gone. And from what I was reading off of eWrestling, that I guess the position within the company is they want him back. Don't bother. If WWE, if anybody from WWE is listening to this, don't bother. You are wasting a spot. You're wasting talent. And the guy is 40 fucking some odd years old. He's old and has diverticulitis. You're talking about how you don't want to risk Daniel Bryan's health. Well, what the fuck about Brock Lesnar's? I mean, let's get realistic with that one too. Brock is a machine. He's a genetic freak. Yes. But I don't see him cutting off people's heads and absorbing the quickening like the Highlander. So eventually, WWE's going to fuck up. Samoa Joe is going to get a little too rowdy with them because he's about 5 years behind him. And yeah, something will go down where you will regret keeping him on that fucking card. Just get him out of WWE. If UFC wants him so badly, let him take him. You want to know why? Because he's not going to last more than a year in UFC before they say, bye-bye. You can't fight, or you've been knocked out, or no one wants to fight you because your relevance here is done. So, yeah. Anyway, this has been Gary Maloney for Sacktown Slam. I will probably have a reaction video for you either shortly after Fastlane tomorrow, or a live view thereof. So until then, peace out.